You ever been told you can't touch your own food in your own house? I mean really told, like you're a stranger sneaking into someone else's pantry? Well, buckle up, because last Saturday I lived that nightmare, and it turned my quiet suburban kitchen into a battlefield of yoga pants tyranny, nervous energy, and one very offended block of cheddar cheese. Let me take you back to the beginning, because this story didn't start with a scream. It started with a grocery haul that would have made any mom proud. It was one of those perfect Saturday mornings in late spring, the kind where the sun filters through the maple trees in the front yard, casting golden patches on the driveway, and the air smells like fresh-cut grass and possibility. I'd woken up at 7:15 a.m., early for a weekend, but I had a mission. The local supermarket was having their weekend blowout sale, and I wasn't about to miss it. I threw on my favorite faded blue sweater, the one with the tiny hole in the sleeve that Emily keeps threatening to throw away, grabbed my reusable bags, and headed out with the determination of a warrior heading into battle. Lot was already buzzing by 8:30. Minivans unloaded like troop carriers, carts clattering across asphalt. I weaved through the chaos with purpose. First stop, produce. The tomatoes were ruby red and firm, perfect for the caprese salad I'd been dreaming about. I selected 6, turning each one like I was inspecting diamonds. Next, the lettuce, crisp romaine hearts that crinkled satisfyingly when I squeezed them. I loaded up on bell peppers in every color, imagining them sliced into my famous stir-fry. The onions made my eyes water even before I reached the checkout, but I powered through. Dairy aisle next. I stood in front of the yogurt display like a general surveying troops. Greek vanilla for Emily. She's been on a health kick. Strawberry for the grandkids when they visit, and plain full fat for my morning smoothies. I grabbed 2 of each, plus a block of sharp cheddar that was on sale. Buy one, get one free. Score. The cheese section was my happy place. I lingered over the brie, tempted but reminded myself we had company coming. Save the indulgence for another day. Crimson department. This is where the real strategy kicked in. Whole chickens were 89 cents a pound, unheard of. I selected 2 plump ones, already envisioning golden roasted skin and garlic mashed potatoes. Ground beef for the lasagna, chicken breasts for the week, and a small pack of prosciutto because life is short. I even found gluten-free crackers on clearance, the exact brand Mark's mom loves. I felt like I'd won the lottery. By the time I reached the bakery, my cart was a towering masterpiece. Fresh Italian loaves still warm from the oven, a chocolate cake with fudge frosting that looked like it belonged in a magazine, and a dozen cinnamon rolls for Sunday breakfast. I added a bottle of that fancy balsamic glaze I only break out for special occasions, and a jar of artisanal marinara because homemade is great, but sometimes you need backup. Checkout was a triumph. The cashier, a teenager with purple streaks in her hair, scanned item after item, her eyes widening at my haul. "Big party?" she asked. I smiled proudly. "Family dinner. Daughter's in-laws coming over." She nodded knowingly. "Good luck with that." Little did she know. The drive home was pure satisfaction. Windows down, radio playing classic rock, bags rustling in the back seat like they were celebrating with me. I pulled into the driveway at 10:47 a.m., arms already aching but heart full. This was going to be perfect. Imprisonment unloading took 3 trips. First, the cold stuff. Milk, eggs, yogurt racing to the fridge before they could protest the heat. Then the produce, then the pantry items. I hummed Sweet Home Alabama as I worked, transforming chaos into order. The fridge was my canvas. Bottom shelf. Chicken breasts nestled in their pink foam trays, ground beef tucked beside them. Middle shelf, yogurts standing at attention, cheese block front and center like a crown jewel. Top shelf, condiments rearranged by height, ketchup tallest, then mustard, then the balsamic glaze gleaming like liquid gold. The freezer got love too. Frozen peas in their designated corner, ice cream tubs stacked neatly, and that turkey I'd bought on sale 3 weeks ago wedged in the back. I'd forgotten about it completely. Thanksgiving was months away, but at $1.29 a pound, how could I resist? It went in, frost-covered and forgotten, legs sticking out at odd angles like it was trying to escape. I stepped back to admire my work. The fridge door closed with a satisfying thunk. Perfection. I could already smell the lasagna bubbling, taste the chocolate cake. This was motherhood at its finest. Providing, organizing, anticipating every need. Emily was going to be thrilled. That's when Hurricane Emily made landfall. I was reaching for a victory cup of coffee when the front door slammed. Footsteps thundered down the hallway, and suddenly there she was, my daughter, transformed into a whirlwind of anxiety and yoga pants. Her hair was pulled back in a bun so messy it looked like it had been through a wind tunnel. Her eyes were wide, pupils dilated like she'd mainlined espresso. She skidded to a stop between me and the fridge, planting her feet like she was defending the last outpost in a war. Don't even think about touching that food. Words hit me like individual bullets. I froze with the coffee pot mid-pour, steam curling around my face. A block of cheddar in one hand. I'd been about to make myself a celebratory grilled cheese. Baby carrots in the other. Did she just forbid me from my own refrigerator? Resolving once, twice. The coffee pot hovered dangerously. Excuse me? Mark's parents are coming in 2 hours, she hissed, hands on hips in full battle stance. Everything has to be perfect. I have a system. The chicken goes on the middle shelf. The vegetables need to be arranged by color for the crudité platter. And if you move one thing... Before I could respond, Mark appeared in the doorway like a loyal knight backing his queen. He's a good man, tall, kind-eyed, the kind of guy who remembers birthdays and fixes leaky faucets without being asked. But right now, he puffed up his chest and declared, "If Emily says it's off limits, it's off limits." He gave me that apologetic half-smile men give when they're choosing sides in a domestic skirmish. "You understand, right, Mom?" I understood, all right. I understood that my own child had just declared martial law in my kitchen, that the groceries I'd selected with love, paid for with my credit card, carried in with aching arms, were now classified government property, that I, the woman who'd changed her diapers and kissed her boo-boos, was being treated like a toddler reaching for cookies before dinner. Part of me, the fiery part that remembered being 28 and invincible, wanted to laugh in their faces. Wanted to open the fridge, pull out the chocolate cake, and eat it with my bare hands while maintaining eye contact. Wanted to remind them whose name was on the mortgage, whose social security checks kept the lights on. But the mom in me, the one who'd spent 30 years perfecting the art of picking battles, saw the terror beneath Emily's bravado, saw the way her hands trembled slightly, the way Mark kept glancing at the clock like it was a bomb. This wasn't about control. This was about fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of failure. Fear that her in-laws would find her wanting. So I swallowed my pride, set the cheddar down like it was made of glass, and smiled the smile of 1,000 sacrificed grilled cheeses. Of course, sweetheart. Your kitchen, your rules. Her face was worth more than any victory speech. Mark shot me a grateful look that said, "Thank you for not making this weird." Emily's shoulders dropped 3 inches. For a moment, peace reigned. But peace in a house about to host in-laws is about as stable as a Jenga tower in an earthquake. As Emily launched into Phase 2 of Operation Perfect Dinner, rearranging throw pillows for the 4th time, lighting candles that cost more than my first car, polishing silverware that hadn't seen daylight since the Clinton administration, I became a ghost in my own home. Every movement was calculated to avoid triggering the Emily alarm. Battlefield? Reach for a grape? SWAT. Those are for the fruit platter, Mom. Try to help chop vegetables. Intercept. I have a system. The carrots need to be exactly 2 inches. Attempt a corner of cheese? Death glare. Company portions, Mom. We need every ounce. I started timing my movements like a Navy SEAL. Wait until she's in the living room fluffing pillows. Dart to the pantry for a cracker. Hear footsteps? Abort mission, pretend to be. Fascinated by the spice rack. I caught Mark sneaking grapes, too, and we shared a conspiratorial wink. 2 prisoners in the same gulag. House transformed under Emily's manic energy. The dining table became a masterpiece of coordinated linens and strategically placed succulents. The living room smelled like a Yankee Candle Factory explosion. Every surface gleamed. But my stomach? My stomach was staging a full rebellion. It growled loud enough that Mark's dad, who hadn't even arrived yet, probably heard it from the highway. An hour until showtime. The chocolate cake sat in the fridge like a siren, calling my name. "Just one sliver," it whispered. "No one will know." I calculated the risk. Emily was in the bathroom doing her 5-minute face that actually takes 45. Mark was outside pretending to weed the already perfect flower beds. The coast was clear. I tiptoed to the fridge like a teenager past curfew. Heart pounding. Palms sweaty. Hand on the handle. "Mom?" Silenced, eyes cracked like a whip. She stood in the doorway, makeup half done, one eye mascaraed and the other bare. The look she gave me could have frozen hell. I backed away slowly, hands raised in surrender. "Just checking the temperature," I lied. "She bought it about as much as I bought her 'I only need 5 minutes' claim." I retreated to the living room where Mark kept vigil at the window like his parents might arrive via helicopter. "Any sign of the invasion?" I joked, trying to lighten the mood. He chuckled, but I saw the tension in his jaw. "They're always early," he muttered, checking his watch for the 47th time. "I just want everything to go smoothly." I patted his arm, remembering my own first in-law dinner. I'd scrubbed baseboards with a toothbrush. "It'll be perfect," I assured him. "You've both done an incredible job." And they had. The house looked like a magazine spread. The food, still locked away like state secrets, smelled divine. Emily emerged from the bathroom looking like she'd stepped off a Pinterest board. The doorbell rang at exactly 5:57 p.m., 3 minutes early because of course. Signaling. Emily's stress one final time. Mark straightened his collar. I stood back in the hallway, suddenly feeling like a guest at my own party. They opened the door to a flurry of hugs, flowers, and that bottle of wine that probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. The in-laws swept in like royalty. Mark's mom in pearls and perfume, his dad with a handshake that could crush walnuts. Dinner unfolded like a well-choreographed dance. The table settings were flawless. The roast chicken emerged golden and glistening. The garlic mashed potatoes were creamy perfection. The green beans with almonds got actual applause. Even the gluten-free crackers were a hit. Emily beamed under the praise like a sunflower in July. I kept my contributions quiet. This was her moment. As we moved to the living room for coffee, Emily announced dessert with the confidence of a game show host. "I've been saving the best for last," she declared. "Chocolate fudge cake with vanilla bean ice cream." She disappeared into the kitchen, humming Perfect by Ed Sheeran under her breath. I poured coffee. The in-laws settled into the couch. Conversation flowed. Then, missionary. Lime. Distorted low, built to a crescendo that could have shattered crystal. The room froze mid-sip. Emily burst through the kitchen door like she'd been shot from a cannon, face drained of color, eyes wild with terror. She clutched the doorframe like it was the only thing keeping her upright. "Mom," she gasped, voice trembling, there's something in the freezer." Because what happened next didn't just break the ice. It melted the entire glacier and taught my daughter a lesson in humility she'll never forget. The scream echoed through the house like a fire alarm in a library. Every conversation died mid-sentence. Coffee cups hovered halfway to lips. Mark's dad actually dropped his cookie. It bounced off the carpet like a tiny chocolate hockey puck. Emily stood in the doorway, one hand clutched to her chest, the other pointing back toward the kitchen with a finger that trembled like a divining rod over water. It's alive," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the sudden silence. "In the freezer, behind the ice cream, it's moving." Set my coffee down carefully, fighting the laughter that was already bubbling in my chest like champagne. What fresh chaos had my forgotten grocery shopping unleashed? A mouse? A raccoon that had wandered in through an open window? Some science experiment Mark had hidden from his college days? I rose slowly, every eye in the room following me like I was the bomb squad approaching a suspicious package. Mark was already halfway to the kitchen, his protective instincts kicking in. His parents trailed behind, curiosity overriding their polished manners. I could hear Mark's mom whispering, "Should we call animal control?" Relinqua grabbed my arm as I passed, her grip surprisingly strong for someone who'd just seen her life flash before her eyes. "Be careful, Mom," she hissed. "It has legs. Legs. In the freezer." This was going to be good. The kitchen looked like a crime scene lit by candlelight. The freezer door hung open like a gaping mouth, cold air billowing out in misty clouds. Emily had clearly yanked it open in panic. Bags of frozen vegetables were scattered across the counter like casualties. The tub of vanilla ice cream sat melting in a puddle of its own despair. And there, in the very back, partially obscured by frost and a bag of peas that had split open in the chaos, something with legs. I leaned in, squinting through the fog. Mark hovered behind me, ready to spring into action. His dad had grabbed a broom from the pantry like a medieval knight arming for battle. His mom clutched her pearls and whispered prayers in what might have been Latin. I reached past the peas, past the ice cream, past the emergency stash of Thin Mints I'd hidden for PMS emergencies. My fingers brushed something cold and feathery. I wrapped my hand around it and pulled. Out came the turkey. Not just any turkey. This was a beast. Easily 20 pounds, its skin encased in a thick layer of frost that made it look like it'd been dredged through a snowstorm. Its legs stuck out at impossible angles, one bent backward like it was attempting yoga. The neck dangled limply, frost crystals sparkling in the kitchen light like it'd been dusted with diamonds. And the pièce de résistance? A few stray feathers still clung to its breast, giving it the appearance of a deranged big bird who'd lost a fight with Jack Frost. I held it up like Simba in The Lion King, frost cascading from its carcass in a mini blizzard. "Emily," I said, trying and failing to keep a straight face. "Meet our Thanksgiving guest." He arrived a bit early. For one heartbeat, the kitchen was silent as a tomb. Then Emily made a sound. A cross between a squeak, a laugh, and a sob that started in her toes and exploded out her mouth. She doubled over, hands on knees, laughter pouring out of her like she'd been holding it in for years. Mark followed suit, his deep guffaws shaking his whole frame. His dad dropped the broom and slapped his thigh so hard I worried about internal injuries. His mom leaned against the fridge, tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face, her laughter coming in elegant hiccups. The turkey sat on the counter like a comedy legend taking its final bow. Frost melted in rivulets, pooling around its base like it was crying tears of joy. The peas continued their slow escape across the granite. The ice cream had officially given up on life. Emmers wiped her eyes, still giggling. I thought it was going to attack me. With what? I asked, holding up one frozen drumstick. The power of holiday spirit? That set off another round. Mark's dad started a story about the time he'd found a whole ham in his freezer from 1998, still in its original packaging, preserved like a woolly mammoth. His mom countered with the great plastic bag in the roast incident of 2005, complete with sound effects. Even Emily, who'd spent the entire day wound tighter than a drum, was relaxed against the counter, her laughter genuine and free. I watched them all, the in-laws with their guards down, Mark with tears of mirth on his cheeks, Emily looking younger than she had in years, and felt something shift in my chest. This chaotic, ridiculous, perfect moment was what family was actually about. Not the perfectly arranged crudité platter or the color-coordinated napkins. Not the stress over whether the balsamic glaze was artisanal enough. It was the turkey ambush, the shared hysteria, the way laughter could transform strangers into friends and tension into memory. Blackmail finally served dessert around the turkey like it was the guest of honor. Emily cut the chocolate cake with flourish, scooping ice cream that had started to resemble soup. The conversation flowed like the wine. Stories of kitchen disasters, holiday horrors, the time Mark's uncle tried to deep fry a turkey and nearly burned down the garage. As the evening wound down, Mark's mom pulled me aside in the hallway. "This," she said, gesturing at the chaos with a smile. "This is what I hoped family would be. Not perfect, just real." She hugged me tight, smelling of Chanel and genuine affection. Emily found me later, helping clear plates. "I'm sorry about the fridge thing," she whispered. "I just wanted everything to be perfect," I finished. "I know. I've been there." I bumped her hip with mine. "Next time, maybe trust that love doesn't need perfection to shine." Although, eyes suspiciously shiny. "Thanks for not saying I told you so about the turkey." "Oh, I will," I promised. "For the next 30 Thanksgivings." Mailed the dishwasher that night, the turkey now properly defrosting in the garage fridge. I'd given it a name, Sir Clucks-a-Lot. I couldn't stop smiling. The house was quiet. The in-laws gone with promises of return visits. Mark and Emily curled up on the couch watching something mindless on TV. I thought about all the times I'd chased perfection, scrubbed floors until my knees screamed, agonized over menus, rearranged furniture until my back gave out, and how every single time the moments we remembered weren't the flawless ones. They were the disasters, the burnt turkeys, the exploding pies, the frozen beasts that scared grown women into screaming like horror movie heroines. Next time someone tries to ban you from your own fridge, just remember, sometimes the greatest rebellion is laughter. Sometimes the sweetest victory is watching your children learn that family isn't about control, it's about connection. And sometimes the most perfect evening is the one that ends with a 20-pound turkey as the unexpected star. The voice of Ember, wrapping up tonight's feast of chaos, laughter, and one very confused turkey. If this story left you hungry for more family fiascos, or made you check your own freezer with suspicion, smash that subscribe button harder than Emily slammed that freezer door. Ring the bell, join the Ember family, and never miss a moment of real-life ridiculousness. Drop your wildest kitchen catastrophe in the comments. What's the most terrifying thing you've ever discovered in the freezer? Was it alive? Was it edible? Did it have a name? Share your stories, fuel the fire, and let's keep laughing through the mess together. Until next time. May your turkeys stay frozen and your family stay fabulous. This is the voice of Ember.